everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the Fitness Network podcast. This evening, I am joined by Natalie Moncrieffe. You guys might know her on Instagram as it's Natalie Dreadlock Fit, isn't it?
Natalie Dreadlock Fit.
Yeah. So I saw you, Natalie, back in 2018 on stage at the PCA British Finals. That was like my very first experience of a massive show, and I just remember even my dad, like, he had no idea about any of the shows, but like your class, he was like, oh my god, these girls, like, wow. So give me a little intro on like your background, I guess, into bodybuilding and then into competing as well, if you can.
So basically, I've trained for quite a long time, but my background was long distance running, which is very strange. Yeah. So I started off sort of half marathon distance was my distance.
Right.
So I ran for years. I also had a sort of coach at the time who did strength training with me, but it was never for the purposes of building muscle. It was just literally to sort of keep my body strong for running. So running was always my main priority. So I never had any muscle at all. And then in December 2014, I had my daughter.
Yeah.
So after I had my daughter, I was so slim. Like it was so strange. I mean, I didn't carry a lot of weight when I was pregnant anyway, but sort of after I had Ella, I was in a size 6 within 2 weeks of having her. And I'd never been a size 6. I'd never been a size 6 in my life. And it wasn't even, I wasn't trying to lose weight. I just went really, 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 I was tiny.
Were you like running around a lot or not eating or just?
No, I think it was breastfeeding. So I breastfed her. And they do say sort of if you breastfeed, you'll lose. You lose weight, but it wasn't sort of intentional. But I think just being a busy sort of new mom, there were days when I'd sort of get to like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and realise I've had nothing to eat. I've had a glass of orange juice. I've been feeding my daughter all day, so I was so tiny. I had no bum whatsoever, nothing at all. And that's when I sort of thought to myself, I remember just sitting at home, like feeding Ella, looking on it, scrolling through Instagram, and I sort of got I can't remember who the first person I followed was. So it was an American girl. She was a bikini competitor, and I used to watch all her workouts and just think I'd love to get into this, but for the purposes of building muscle.
Yeah.
So I bought most of the equipment that I've currently got at home now. I bought back then, so it's not new, because I didn't want to leave Ella and go and start training in a gym. I was a new mom. I wanted to make sure that she was okay. So I used to train at home when she was asleep. Which was most of the time. So fast forward, I started when she was a year old. I started going back to the gym once a week, and I started training for PT.
Right.
And the PT at the time, he was like, "Have you ever thought about competing?" And I just sort of laughed at him and was like, "Not at all." And he was like, "You've got a really good shape." And I was just like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah, you could do a bikini class."
Yeah.
And I sort of carried on training. He put me on a bit of a diet, and then I he put me on like a bulking diet, and I remember my calories they weren't even high. They were like, I think they were like 1,500 calories.
Right.
I put on so much body fat, and really? I think it was because I wasn't eating a lot before that.
Yeah.
So like, you put me on 1,500 calories, and I was like, and I just put on all this body fat. But then I started noticing that I was getting stronger in my lifting.
Right.
So we basically did like a bulk, and then we did a mini cut, and then I started prepping for Pure Elite.
Love it. Go for it.
Very, very random. I did a 12-week prep. Did my first show with Pure Elite in 2017, and I won my 2 classes that I entered, which I was really shocked at, because I didn't even go in with any sort of, I had no clue. I said, you know what it's like when you do your first show, like I didn't even know what. My posing was shocking. I had no idea what I was about to experience, and it was quite an overwhelming day. Like I don't even remember my name being called out, if you know what I mean. Like it was all sort of like a bit of a shock, and I did well in my categories, and I was like, oh, okay. Didn't even like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like I was just in shock. I was just shocked. But then when I got my stage pictures back, I wasn't happy with how I was tiny. I was tiny, so tiny. And then I was like, right, I'm going to take this seriously now. I want to take whole year off. I want to add on some tissue.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I did. I went back into a surplus and started my off season, and I did that for a year before competing with Pure Elite again in 2018.
Okay. Yeah.
I did I can't remember what month it was. It was like May. I think it was May 2018. I did another show with Pure Elite. Got my Pure Elite Pro card. Again, I was like, I got my stage photos back, and I thought I can do better than this. But I had no. And my coach kept telling me to do PCA, and I was like, kept looking at girls that were competing PCA, and I was like, I'm not that. No, I don't think I could do that. I'm not that good. And my coach was like, you need to have more self-confidence.
Yeah.
So we stayed on prep. And then I did my first show a couple of months later with PCA and won my class and won the overall.
Awesome.
As well. So
wow. And then you went to British finals after that, right?
Yeah, so I did my qualifying show, which I won. And then I did the British finals where I came second to Martina.
Yeah.
And then I did the World Championships where I won, which was like madness. It was such a weird year.
But you because obviously I think of you more as like the athletic, the trained bikini. So like to me, I always think of you as that like wonderful amounts of muscle, really nice roundy muscle as well. But like you've obviously grown very quickly then. Really?
Yeah, so I was in masters. I think at the time I could have done trained, but again I think for me masters was the safer bet because I was older and I knew that I would have been competing with girls that were a lot younger than me. And I didn't have the confidence. So me and my coach at the time, Pat, like we just played it safe and just thought she kept telling me that she was like, you'll be absolutely fine. I've got no doubt. But I was always like, I don't know. Maybe I should just stick with masters for now. But my feedback, when I spoke to the judges about feedback, even though I did well, I just wanted, sort of like, do you think I could do bikini trains? And they were like, absolutely no doubt. So then I took, was it a year? Oh, it wasn't even a year. It was like 6 months, I think. I'm so confused with the dates. I think it was 6. I took 6 months. 6 months. So 6 months off season. Worked with a new coach, and we worked so hard. Like my calories were through the roof. And it was, again, it was like I just went, basically I didn't even reverse diet. I've never really reverse dieted, but I didn't reverse diet. I just went straight into a surplus. So again, gained. I didn't gain that much body fat, but my body changed so quickly.
Really?
But we wanted to sort of, for me to fit in the bikini train category, we wanted to make sure that I had a competitive physique.
Yeah, of course.
And we didn't want to just come in a leaner. And more conditioned. We wanted to make sure that I had the muscle there. So that I could, and again I think it's about sort of, for me it was about achieving a look that I wanted to be happy with.
Of course, yeah.
We obviously still wanted to make sure that I fit in the criteria, but I've got to live with this body.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that when it was time to diet down again, that I was going to be happy with how I looked.
And I think that is really, like, a lot of people when they compete or when they're looking at a first show, they forget that, and it is a really big deal, because like I in my second year like PCA, so I did toned the first year, and then the second year I went in toned and they pulled me out And they were like, no, you've got to do train.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I haven't got ready for this class at all. But and I was like trying to make myself as big as I could.
But you've got good muscle as well, and your condition's always really good. So that's probably why they put you in.
I think maybe it's like you. I put it down to having done a kind of sport before, and that I think your body, even if maybe you're not holding that amount of muscle, then your body already is used to being able to grow. And I think, like, or maybe all the pathways are already there, so you grow a bit quicker, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like for me, I love that trained look. I think it's amazing, but I'm so small that on me I think I just look like a tank, and I just I don't think I would feel comfortable the rest of the time, like in off season.
It's hard, isn't it? I think that's the thing, and like that's what I always think. You've got to live. We only look like that for a short amount of time, and we've got to be happy with how we look for the rest of the year. And I think because I'm taller, I can kind of get away with it because I don't look. It's really hard. Like when you look at pictures, you think, "Oh my God, you look massive," but when you see me in real life, I'm not that big. And I think because I'm tall, because I'm not that tall. I'm only 5'6". But because I've got longer limbs as well, so I think I can sort of get away with carrying it well without sort of looking too big, basically.
I mean, it looks so natural and good on you. Like, it sounds really funny that you said that you were really skinny and had no bum, because I can't imagine you like that at all.
Oh my God, it was so small. It's really strange because when I was at school, so before I sort of went into long distance, I used to sprint.
Right.
And when I was sort of and like did athletics all through sort of school, and I always had a bum, and my bum was my thing. It's always the thing that people notice. So then, and I don't know where. And even when I ran, I still had. I've never had. Although when you look at pictures now, you're probably like, "That you're talking rubbish." My legs were a lot slimmer than they are now, but they were never skinny.
Yeah.
They just didn't really have much muscle on them. But so I don't know whether it was like a combination of sort of doing long distance running for years that I basically would have eaten away at any muscle that I did have. And then sort of my body changing so much during pregnancy. I was so small. Like I've never been a size 6 in my life. And I was ever. And it just, I was really unhappy. Like I had Ella, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, you've squeezed back into your clothes, or you're smaller." And I was like, "Yeah, but that's not how I don't like it. I didn't like it at all. I was like, it's not for me." So it was crazy. But then I kind of felt like that again when I did masters. Even though I'd had a really good season within masters, by the time I got to the Worlds, I actually don't know how I won the Worlds, because I was so over dieted, because I've basically been prepping for a year from the time I first got on stage. I did the Pure Elite show, then I did PCA Manchester, then I did the British finals, and then I did the Worlds at the end of the year. So I've been dieting all year. So by the time I got to that show, I was so scrawny. I was just like, oh my God. And you don't really notice, like, because you get your stage pictures back, and like my stage pictures were fine. And I thought, I don't look like that. I am not that big at all. But then when I like got to the gym after the show and took a selfie in the mirror, and I was like, where's all your muscle gone?
Yeah. It's
literally
it's crazy, isn't it? You don't realise that. Like I noticed that by my last show when I did the 10 in that year. It was my last show where I was like, oh, I'd really diminished. But I don't think I realised until there was a stage shot where I'm obviously like midterm, and I saw my leg, and I was like, oh, it's a stick.
I know. And it's always, you sort of get those pictures back, or even like a gym picture. I think I did so I think I filmed like a training video in the gym not long after I'd come off stage, and it was a squat video, and we stood next to my coach, and I was like, my legs are so small again. Like they've come back to what I hated. Like, oh, it was just, you don't really, I think you just push and push and push and push and push, And then obviously, like being in a deficit for that long isn't gonna do you any favors. But we're all learning, aren't we? Yeah. You're just constantly chasing condition. But then I think it's like I'm so glad. I'm not glad about lockdown at all because it's horrible. But I think the first lockdown was probably the best thing that happened to me, because I started. So in the first lockdown, I started prep again for the PCA Worlds, which would have been May last year. But then obviously we went into lockdown, and I was like, "There's no point in me carrying on prepping." So that's the first time I've taken. Well, it's going to be longer than it, like a whole year off season.
Yeah.
And it's done my body the world of good.
I bet. I'm not. I feel like
otherwise it would have been the same again. Like I would have just taken, like, gone into an off season of about 4 months this time and then gone straight back into prep. And I think at the time I was gutted because I really wanted to do PCA Worlds, but then I thought to myself, you know what? When I think now and I think about how my body's changed by just training, eating, getting rest and recovering, my body's completely changed for the better.
Yeah. That leads me on to, I wanted to ask you about off season, because for me, whenever I see videos or pictures of you on Instagram, like, you just grow at some exponential speed. Like, it's amazing. And your body really grows in the right way. Like, you look really healthy. It's nice that you showcase as well, like, what it is, like, kind of, like, I think too many of us just keep showing stage pictures, and obviously we're not living like that. And no. Like, but we do like like, what are your kind of, what have you learned from off season that you would say to someone to have a successful off season?
I think you've just got to accept the fact that you're not going to look how you look on stage, and you've got to sort of think of the bigger picture. And I've got my goals. I'm going into another category, so in order to obtain or create the shape that I need to create or want to create, I need to grow. And I'm not going to do that by being constantly focusing on my stomach's getting bigger or this part's getting bigger. Like, you've just got to kind of embrace it. And it's not I'm not saying it's easy.
No.
But then again, I don't know whether that comes, like, I don't really find off season, I don't struggle with off season. I have my days where I sort of think, probably need to rein it in a little bit. Then I know that to get to where I need to get to, I need to just suck it up and just get on with it.
Yeah.
I need to be in quite a big surplus to gain muscle, and also to train how I want to train. I love lifting heavy. Especially in my off season, like, it gives me something else to focus on. So I switch my focus up. Instead of sort of focusing on how my body looks, I'm more concerned about sort of how I'm lifting in the gym, how I'm training, how I'm recovering, and that kind of thing.
But that is what you should be thinking of in off season, isn't it? Not necessarily how you're looking, it's more how you're feeling and how your body is feeling in itself. Like, are you feeling really run down, or are you feeling really energetic? And I guess it's just switching your focus, isn't it, with off season? Because when you're prepping, you're like constantly looking, am I lean yet? Have I got abs yet? Like,
and I think as well, like, for me, towards the end of all of my preps, I have felt so dreadful. Really? Like, I won't even pretend that I feel great, because I honestly feel like I've been dug up. I think that's how bad I felt towards the end of, like, even when I did 2019 PCA finals. So I did the Amateur Olympia. Again, that was another year that I was constantly I seemed to be constantly prepping. So the Amateur Olympia, and then I think it was 2 weeks later I was back on stage at the PCA finals, and by the time I got to that show, I just felt awful. I was ready. I just needed to eat. I just needed my body had had enough, and it was giving me signs like everything hurt. I wasn't sleeping great, which I don't think you do anyway towards the end. I don't know. I don't anyway towards the end of a prep, but I was very emotional. I was tired. I was all the normal things. I was hungry, but my body, like training, I was getting sort of little niggles here and there. And I just thought, I need to, like, this is my warning signs now.
Yeah.
No more. I need to stop.
It's your body saying it needs some more fat on it, isn't it, really?
Yeah. And, you know, when you get to that point where it's uncomfortable to sit down. I mean, we must be mad. I think we're great. Like, we must be literally crazy.
Yeah.
Everyone will be like, why are you doing it?
Well, I know.
Doing it then?
Somebody said we are mad because there is no other sport where the closer you get to your competition, the less you eat. Like everyone,
I know,
you eat more.
Honestly. But you're still pushing so hard in your training and in the gym.
I know.
Like it's nuts. Like when you think about it now, when I start thinking about it, like I'm smiling, but then I think I don't know if I could do that again. But you do.
Yeah.
You just do, don't you?
Yeah.
I think you become so driven and so like, and it's amazing because it's such an incredible process, and seeing your body changing is so fascinating.
Yeah.
You do get to that point where you're just like, I don't even know if I should be driving my car. I don't feel safe. I'm like doing really stupid things, like putting my purse in the freezer. And,
yeah.
like, all those random things. You just have brain fog constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you start getting those dreams where you're like, you have a cheat meal in your dream, and then you wake up and you're like, oh no, did I actually do that? Or like,
yeah. You don't know what's going on, and you like wake up in like a cold sweat, like, oh god, I've just had pizza, and then you're like, how have I just had pizza? I've just woken up.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is,
but it is like it's such like it's hard to explain to people like why you do the sport. I always find it really hard because I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But then people are like, but if it makes you feel so bad,
why do you do it?
Why'd you do it? But I guess, I don't know. Like at first you don't feel bad. It's only like, it's just when you have to like push really hard towards the end, those last few weeks.
Yeah, and I find it's more, I don't know. I think it's more like the self-doubt kicks in as well, and then I mean, I never get much food anyway. I think it's just being small, but and I always end up with loads of cardio as well. But it's that bit where you're like, okay, I'm on the Stairmaster. I've got this. I've only got to go another 50 minutes. It's all right. I've got this. And then you're like a minute later, you're like, no, I'm actually going to die. I think I'm just going to expire on this Stairmaster, and they'll find my remains. Like,
I was talking to my coach the other day about this. Like, there was one time on the Stairmaster, I literally had a hypo, and I completely blacked out. And I stopped the Stairmaster, sat on there for about 10 minutes. I was profusely sweating, but I was cold, and I was like, oh my god, I'm actually going to die. And then 10 minutes later, I was like, right, you've got this, carry on. And carried on for another half an hour. And I was like, that was now, there is no way. I'd have gone home. I'd go home. But I think you're just in this, like, you've just got to, your mind is just in this, I've got to get it done. Got to get it done. If you don't do it now, I've got to come back later and do it. So I'm just going to carry on.
And yeah. I mean, I've had similar things where I got on the Stairmaster, and then I find for me, it's really weird when I'm about a month out or about 3 weeks. I just get this thing where, like, do you get those days where you're a little bit down, but you can't really explain why you're down? But you're not sad, you just feel a bit down, and then you're like, I just need a hug. Like, I just want a hug. I don't know why I want a hug. And I was like, Mom, I'm really knackered, just hug me. And I was like, okay, I'm all right. I've got this now. I'm back on this. It's so
carry on.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, I put that down to like hormones and low blood sugar, but we all have little things, don't we, on prep, I think, that we go through.
It's just funny when you all talk about them and you're like, yeah, I've had that too.
Yeah.
Because nobody outside the sport will get it or
No.
understand it, or it's just, yeah, it's very strange.
And the novelty after the show of things like a sandwich that you haven't eaten in months, so you're like, bread is really entertaining or something.
Cheese sandwich. I love a cheese cob. Something so simple, just that you haven't eaten for months. And I think that's the thing. A lot of us really do like food, and I think people on the outside looking in think, oh, they've got eating disorders and you don't like food, when actually in reality we love our food.
Yeah.
But we've just got this other side to us where we've got a goal to achieve, and nothing is going to get in our way of achieving that goal.
Yeah, I agree. So okay, going on to training again. So, you know, obviously you said that you trained from home before, but like how are you finding training in lockdown?
This in the summer it was great. Like in the summer it didn't bother me at all. Like it was great. My head was in a good place, even though we were all locked down. This time I'm still training, I'm still getting what I need to get done, but it's a lot harder mentally, sort of. And I don't know whether it's in the summer I was still sort of, I'm still working now, but I was still working. So I used to train in the mornings before I start work. So my alarm would go off at 5:30. I'd leave Ella in bed, go downstairs. It was sunny, it was bright. Do my session before I started work. Whereas now, still set my alarm for 5:30, but it's dark, so I don't get out of bed. I literally stay in bed, and then like that window of opportunity is gone. So I'm not great. Then I'm working from sort of 9 until 4:30. So then by the time I start training now, it's a lot later in the evening. So it's really sort of like, and it's my own fault because I should just get out of bed.
Yeah.
But I can't. Literally every morning, my alarm goes off at the same time every morning. And I think, right, tomorrow I'm getting up at 5:30. And it just doesn't happen.
Oh, they were saying that you should put your phone across the room, and then you have to get out of bed to turn your alarm off.
I think that's what I need to do. So yeah, like this time around, it's a lot harder mentally. Just sort of, I think you just sort of sit there procrastinating all day.
Yeah.
Thinking, you know, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. Shall I do it now? Like on my lunch break, I could do my cardio on my lunch break. But then I sit there and I'm like, oh no, I'll do it later. Oh, like, and that's how I am all day. And then by the time like it gets to the evening and I've got to train now, like now you have got to train.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so hard, but I still do it. But it's just a lot. I don't know. I don't know whether it's just the effects of lockdown and it's winter. It's just a lot harder this time around.
Yeah, I think everyone is feeling a similar way. I've noticed it's different. But I also think that more people have got hold of kit now as well.
Which is good.
Yeah, it is.
And I think it's just like now it's an investment. Like I'm lucky enough. I've always been lucky enough because I've got quite a lot. I've got enough weight here to be able to progress.
Right.
And I've just ordered some more plates as well, which are coming I think the end of the month. And everyone's like, oh, you're mad. But then I think to myself, well, I'm not really spending money on anything else at the moment at all, apart from food and rent and stuff like that. And if this keeps happening, I need to know that I am able to train at home still, and that I've got enough to be able to progress. So to me, it's an investment, because I think this will probably happen again.
Yeah.
As much as I want to stay positive and optimistic, I think that this won't be the last lockdown.
No, but so, I don't think there's any you know, there isn't any bad thing about being self-sufficient. Like, you know, as much as I think people are great, I just think it's better if you don't have to rely on anybody for anything. Like you're saying, you know, having your own kit, it's an investment. I mean, we do this because we love it. So, you know, we make our money to spend it on what we want. So
exactly. And I just think like now it's this is already the third lockdown. Like, just be prepared. And I know like not everybody can afford it, but then the way I like, I always used to get my hair, like hair extensions in my hair, which cost quite a lot of money, and I haven't done that since the beginning of the first lockdown. So to me,
yeah.
So that's quite a lot of money I've saved. So to just, you know, to spend, to now think, actually, I've realised that I don't need my hair extensions in all the time because I'm not going anywhere. So then I'm like, well, actually, then you've just got to weigh it up, haven't you? Like, spending like £100 or whatever on kit that I know that that's going to benefit me, like physically and mentally, because it's going to keep me sane because I can train. So
yeah, no, I know. But so, like, for me in photos from you, you've definitely grown in lockdown.
Yeah.
And have you just done that, I mean, just because you have enough weight, or have you changed the way that you train as well?
I've changed the way. I've been doing a lot more volume, which I never used to do really. So basically what I did, so the first lockdown, I think I've got like, with a bar and plates, I've got about 140 kilos in total.
Yeah, okay.
So I stripped all my lifts back. So rather than sort of going like with I love heavy hip thrusts, but rather than just literally start from the start of lockdown, do hip thrust in 140k, which is fairly light for me. Well, was fairly light for me. I wouldn't have been able to progress that. We were in lockdown for what, 4 months?
Yeah.
So if I went in sort of full pelt at the start with that, then I had nowhere really to go. So I stripped the weight right back down. Focused on every lift. I focused on form. So
yeah,
sort of making sure I was feeling the exercise where I needed to be feeling it.
Yeah.
And then I started progressively overloading again. So that's what I had to do.
Okay.
And just like I realised that I always thought my lifts were absolutely fine, but sort of having to strip the weight back and like really focus on my form, I realised that actually my form on a lot of lifts had gone a bit shoddy.
Yeah. I think like because we started using bands, and my mum started going to the gym about a year ago, and we were both like, God, they really kick your butt, actually, bands. Like, and they just seem to hit your muscles in a very different way.
Just different, isn't it?
Yeah, I think because there's constant tension through it. You know, if you do like a lateral raise with bands, there's tension. It's like if you use the cables all the way through the lift.
Exactly.
But yeah, I know, like, so okay, so you kind of using mind to muscle connection a lot stronger and everything. Did you also use tempo within the volume?
Yeah, so like tempo I've always kind of changed up anyway. But like I was doing a lot of sort of slowing everything down. I started, so for example, like with hip thrusts, I'd only ever sort of done, I used to hate doing like volume work, so I'd do like maximum 10 reps there on a hip thrust, and that was it. Whereas now I'll be doing like 25 reps on 100 kilos.
Oh wow.
So I had to work up to that. But it was like just things like that, just trying to get sort of get more reps, but making sure that my form was spot on. Whereas if I probably would have tried that before, I'd get to 10 and then the rest of the reps would have been absolutely pointless because they would have been rubbish. And whereas now, like, I can comfortably knock out 20 reps with 100 kilos.
Wow.
And it's made a massive difference. I mean, the first time I tried that in the first lockdown, honest to God, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. Like, I was like, oh my God, I've never done that many reps on anything before. It was horrible. Whereas now it's quite easy.
Really? Wow.
Like,
imagine what your strength is going to be now.
I've done it easy, but I'm not sort of hanging. Whereas I was hanging the first time I tried it. So my fitness has improved. Like, my fitness levels have got so much better as well. But just things like that. I think there's so much that you can do. Like, I posted a video on my Instagram, I think it was last week, and I was doing dumbbell. Now, I've done dumbbell RDLs before with the 50 kg dumbbells.
Right.
And I've only got at home, I've got 20 kg dumbbells, which is a lot lighter, but I was literally doing a lot of time on, like, doing RDLs with time under tension with them, and it was so hard. And I think there's so much that you can do, but it's literally just stripping it right back. And you've just literally got to strip the weight right back, focus on your form and slow everything down. And I think I get to the point, because I love lifting heavy in my off season, I have to remember I'm not a power lifter.
Yeah.
I'm not a power lifter. As much as I love that side of training, I am not a power lifter. I'm trying to build muscle.
Yeah.
So again, dropping the weight and like leaving my ego at the door. But I think that again, that's another good thing about lockdown for me, because I wouldn't have done that otherwise.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have had to drop the weight. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of forced me. Well, actually, I've only so much at home. I'm very limited to what I have got. So I've had to drop the weight on a lot of my lifts and really focus on my form and getting that mind muscle connection, etc. So it's made a massive difference.
Really? Yeah. Have you had to change your diet as well? Like, have you had to lower calories or?
Well, at the moment I'm prepping.
Yeah.
So my calories are low anyway. The first lockdown, I went into the lockdown on a prep diet. Because I was prepping for the PCA World, but then I just put my calories back up to like a maintenance level.
Right. Okay.
And I never really went into much of a surplus. I probably did, because I was on a diet. I was dieting. But it didn't do anything drastic with my calories. It didn't, because I was still training every day and I was still doing my cardio every day.
Yeah.
So I didn't sort of, like, I keep seeing a lot of girls saying they've dropped their calories right down because they're not doing a lot. But I don't know. I don't, unless you like eating a ridiculous amount of calories. Like, I just think sort of keep it steady. Like, I don't know. Like, but then it goes back to that whole sort of being comfortable with your body and being comfortable in yourself. Like, if in the first lockdown I put on a few pounds, I would probably wouldn't care. I'm like, that's not my focus right now.
But I think from the way that you're training, it doesn't really sound like you wouldn't be burning less calories than if you were in the gym, because you have weight. It's not like you're training with bands or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it just depends on sort of what you've got access to, what you are. If you sat around your house doing absolutely nothing all day, then you might have to sort of have a look at your diet and think, well, actually I need to cut a few calories here, there. But I think because I was able to train, even now I'm still able to train. I've got a treadmill downstairs, I've got a bike upstairs. It's no different really to being in the gym. Like, the only thing I haven't got access to is machines.
I get you.
That's it. So I haven't, I've never really messed around with my calories. They are what they are. now I'm prepping, so that's different. I'm on a food plan at the moment. But like in the first lockdown, I sort of still followed my food plan that I had initially, but I just upped everything. I just ate more of it. But I'm quite sort of, conscious isn't the right word. Like, I eat quite well anyway. Like, I've never been one for sitting there and like eating a whole packet of biscuits. Unless I fancied it, but it's not something I would do. I eat a lot of whole foods. I eat a lot of fresh foods. Even sort of when I've macro tracked as well, but even then most of the food that I was hitting my macros with was all fresh food.
Okay. So that's what you do anyway.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's fine. So, and when you're training at home, because I saw little Ella on the treadmill with you when you were training, but how do you get, because I know that a lot of people are finding the training hard at home because they're finding it hard to get into the zone that you would just naturally get into at the gym. What are you doing to help that?
Honestly, I don't really know, because last night I trained hams and glutes at home and I put the music channel. I was like, Ella, let's put some music on. So we were flicking through the music channels and the channel that came on was all love songs. And I was just like, she was like, can we keep this one on, mummy? And I was like, should we not look for something a bit more upbeat, like like something that would be in the gym? And she was like, no, let's keep this one on. So I was doing deadlifts to some love love song.
Like my heart will go on.
I don't know. Like, I just have to sort of. I don't know. I don't find it hard. Once I start, I'm fine.
Yeah.
It's just starting.
Yeah.
So like, I have to sort of declutter my living room. So in the first lockdown, I don't know, you probably, well, you may or may not have seen like the videos that I was posting. I had stuff, my living room was no longer a living room, it was a gym stroke playroom. So there were toys all over the floor, there were weights all over the floor, and it drove me insane. So this lockdown, I'm putting everything away. So I've cleared out a cupboard at the top of the stairs. I'm putting all my weights in, and it's a pain in the arse because after I finish training, I don't want to be walking up the stairs with weights, but I need to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And I think that helps. I think having to get them out and drag everything back down into my living room, I think that helps get me in the zone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you.
Because initially, when they were just all in the living room, I'd sit there looking at them and I hated them.
Yeah.
And I think it was just the clutter that it was causing, and I don't know, I don't know. But yeah, good music, clear anything that's of like, if you've got like, I don't know, any sort of mess around you, any distractions, just clear it all away. Just lay out, you know, if you've got weights, lay out what you need to use. If you haven't got a plan, make a plan.
Yeah.
Like if you know, you might be someone that just, you know, you just sort of lifestyle training, just write yourself a plan. I find that always really helps. Like plan out the exercises and the exercises you want to do and the reps you want to do, and then you can just sort of go along and tick it off, and that really helps as well.
Yeah, I mean, I still write it in my logbook as if I'm going to the gym, and then I write in and I tick each set off.
Yeah,
because I just for me, like I try and keep everything mentally the same as if I was in the gym. So like I try and keep timings the same, and then the same, like I guess it's like you don't have the thing of driving to the gym when your pre-workout meal is going down there. So I have to sit there in my chair and I'm like, right.
Have some pre-workout as well, that helps.
Yeah, I know.
Have a scoop of something. But no, I think as well, like it's good to have a goal. Like at the moment, I am prepping for a show, may or may not happen, but it's still a goal. So in, you know, even though it's sometimes so hard, like motivating yourself to train, I've got that end sort of goal there. So I'll sit there all day procrastinating, but then I think actually I'm not going to get closer to my goal if I don't do what I need to do.
Yeah.
So I just need to do it. And some days you'll have a really good session, some days you'll have a really crap session, but you've done it. That's the main thing. You've done what you needed to do. You've done it now. Forget about it.
And that's the same in the gym. Not every session is a kick-ass session in the gym. Like it kind of, the sessions that are bad make the ones that are very good better, I think, you know.
Yeah, and I always think as well, like just start, even if you really don't want to try, you sort of do want to train but you don't want to train, just do the first exercise that you need to do, and if you're really not feeling it, okay, save it for the next, you know, write it off, take today as a rest day or whatever, and then try the next day. But 9 times out of 10 you'll sort of do that first exercise and you'll think, actually, I don't feel too bad, I'm all right, like I've got this, I can carry on now. So it's just I think when you're at home, it's just getting going that's the hardest part.
Yeah, no, it is,
because you're in, and especially if you're in the same, I don't know what your house is like, but my house, I've got quite a big living room, but I haven't got a big house, so I can't train outside because the back garden's all pebbled, not slab. So I can't really squat in on pebbles.
No.
So the only place in the house that I've got the room to train is my living room, which is also Ella's school and also my office.
Brilliant.
So it's amazing. But yeah, like I think like the hardest part is literally just doing it.
Yeah, I agree.
So like, I mean, if you can set yourself if you can set yourself a time to train, then set yourself a time. Don't be like me. Don't set your alarm for 5:30 in the morning and never get up at that time. Just get up and do it.
Yeah, I like that. No, that's good. And are you moving up a class this year? Are you?
Well, I am hoping to do wellness.
Very nice.
So it was really hard when I did. So my feedback from both of the two bro shows that I did, was to go. My feedback was go into figure, and I really don't want to do figure, or basically not lift as heavy or train the way that I'm training and come down even more to place higher in bikini.
Right, okay.
And I didn't want to do that either. So it was like, I didn't know what to do. I was a bit like, So I've sort of, for the way that I like to train, and like we sort of talked about at the beginning, how I sort of want my body to look, I think I'd be more suited to a wellness type physique.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where that's going to go at the moment, because I am obsessed with my legs at the moment. My legs aren't big enough. My glutes are fine. My hamstrings are fine. It's my quads. So I'm like, when you've already got prep brain and you've still got 10 weeks to go. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at the moment. But I think it's just, I think that's another good thing about sort of staying on prep for me. I'll be able to sort of see where my weaknesses are. I kind of already know what my weaknesses are, but when you sort of dive down, you start to see them more clearly, don't you? So
and also, like the looks change as well with each year. So it might be what judges say, in wellness, it might be that it's perfect to what they want this year. Because I've noticed that, I mean, even the bikini Olympia, like when Issa won the year before, they were definitely picking a more muscular look, and now I felt a little bit with Janet, like maybe they're looking for a little bit of a smaller look. I think because like, wellness,
they were quite opposite.
Yeah, I know.
They were quite opposite this year, weren't they? So,
but I think it's because they were worried it was getting too big, and of course wellness is going to come into Olympia, and so they have to make very, very obvious classes. Yeah. So
it was it's really, feedback's really hard. Because I've spoke to a few bikini girls that got exactly the same feedback as me. Have you thought about doing figure? Shrink your lower, don't do, and it's just like, when I look at my bikini pictures, I thought that I was the fit bikini criteria, but now now when I look at bikini girls and then I look at how I look at the moment, I'm like, actually, I don't think that I would now fit bikini. Not in that federation. Like PCA, I'd probably still get away with doing bikini trained. But for two bros, I don't know, it's quite difficult, because I always find when you look at sort of class winners, they all look very different.
It's
so hard. It's so hard.
That's the problem with it being subjective, isn't it? It's what different judges like, and also like different countries, because when I did some of the international shows, it's totally different as to what look like. In Europe, I find they're much more muscular, they're much more conditioned, but they don't look anything like that in the States. So
no,
it is that awkward bit. But I think like you're saying is totally right. It has to be what you like, and then kind of, if it fits with the criteria of the federation that you want to do, then great. But like, if not, there is a federation where you will fit, I think.
It's just fine. I think it's just finding that federation. But the same with like wellness at the moment, because it's so new to the UK especially. There isn't really, again, when you sort of look at the class winners, they're quite different at the moment. There's no sort of set standard. So we'll just see what happens.
That's very exciting. Well, I look forward to that. So I have a couple of my quick fire questions just at the end here. Okay, what is your favourite guilty pleasure food?
Five Guys.
Nice. Favourite stage pose?
Oh, wow. Currently, for sort of, because I'm doing wellness posing at the moment, I'm really liking my front pose, which is very uncomfortable to get into. But when I get into it, it looks good.
Oh, that will come. What about favourite place that you've ever travelled to?
Morocco.
Oh, beautiful. And
Very
your
nice.
favourite bodybuilder of all time? They can be in any category. Doesn't have to be a big bodybuilder.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think in terms of bikini. I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't know who I would say. I'm just thinking. I really like Laurelie.
Yeah.
I really like her physique. I was actually really surprised that she didn't place higher.
Yeah. I know. I don't know. But her coach was saying that she needs more muscle now because she's quite tall.
Yeah, I actually didn't realise how tall she was. She's like 5'8".
Yeah, I know.
I actually did not realise that she was that tall.
I guess it's because Janet's tall, and I think I always say her name wrong. Attila.
Attila.
Yeah, Attila. Yeah. Is tall as well. So I think they all look they don't look tall. But I
was gonna say they don't look tall. They don't look tall. They all kind of look on a level.
I know. But I think Angelica's like 5'4", 5'5", and she's now one of the smallest with them. So
yeah, I guess yeah. So they're not. I mean, I'm 5'6", so
yeah.
I would sort of like be in the middle of those girls. But yeah, I never sort of. I always think of them as being really small, like short.
Yeah.
But then a lot of the wellness girls are really short.
Are they? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like a lot of them are sort of like 5'2", and I think that's why their legs look so big, because they're shorter.
Because proportionate. Could be.
Yeah.
It could be. I know. I remember the very first posing class I ever went to. She said I should do wellness, and I was like, no, I'm just fat. Like, this is a muscle, and my legs are just fat. Okay. But yeah,
I think I really do like the wellness look.
Yeah, me too.
I'm hoping. Fingers crossed.
I think you'll smash it. Absolutely.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming on and sharing all your tips and your journey with us. I wish you all the best with your competition, like fingers crossed for it all going to plan. But if not, you will look even more amazing with the time. So
that's it. That's what you've got to think. Like, if shows don't go ahead, it's more sort of growing and improving time.
Yeah, absolutely. And like more time to, perfect your posing and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So look at the positives.
Exactly. Yes, I like that. And we'll leave them with that. Cool. Thanks a lot, Natalie.
Thank you.
All right,
speak to you later.
Bye.